Imagine a weapon so powerful it can tear open the fabric of reality, creating a cosmic maelstrom on the battlefield. Now that's just scratching the surface of what we're about to explore. In a universe where the line between science and sorcery has long since blurred, we're diving into 5 weapons that push the boundaries of possibility. From guns that manipulate the very essence of existence to blades that can extinguish life with a mere touch, these exotic armaments showcase the true technological might of the Imperium. Let's uncover the mind-bending arsenal that makes even the most battle-hardened veterans tremble. What if I told you there's a weapon that erases its target from existence? Sounds like something out of a sci-fi nightmare, right? Well, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, nightmares have a habit of becoming reality. Let's talk about the conversion beamer, a relic of the dark age of technology that's shrouded in mystery and fear. This weapon fires a beam of pure energy, which might not sound too out of place in a universe with plasma guns and melta weapons. But here's where things get weird. This beam actually grows stronger the further it travels. It's like the exact opposite of every other weapon ever made, and that's just the beginning. When this beam hits its target, it doesn't just punch a hole or cause an explosion. The conversion beamer lives up to its name by converting matter into energy at the quantum level. Picture a tank vanishing mid-battle, leaving behind not even a wisp of debris. The energy released is so intense that it can vaporize everything nearby, creating a chain reaction of destruction. It's like watching reality itself unravel before your eyes. But the true horror lies in what happens to its victims. Those unfortunate enough to be hit by the beam don't just die, they're erased from reality itself. Your body, your equipment, even the memories of those who knew you, all gone in an instant. It's a complete negation of your very being. Even the Adeptus Mechanicus, those masters of arcane tech who can coax life into ancient machines, don't fully understand how this weapon works. It's a testament to the incredible technological heights reached during the Dark Age of technology, a time when humanity's scientific prowess was at its peak. This is the kind of weapon that gives even hardened veterans of the Imperium nightmares. The idea that you could be completely unmade, leaving nothing behind, not even a memory. It's a fate worse than death. It's a total annihilation of self that goes beyond physical destruction. It's no wonder that the conversion beamer is one of the rarest and most sought-after weapons in the Imperium's arsenal. Its power is matched only by the fear it inspires, both in those who wield it and those who face it on the battlefield. In a universe where death is often seen as just another beginning, the conversion beamer offers a terrifying finality that even the most battle-hardened warriors struggle to comprehend. The conversion beamer stands as a chilling reminder of the dark potential hidden within humanity's lost knowledge. It's a weapon that doesn't just kill, it rewrites reality itself, leaving nothing but an unsettling void where life once existed. In the brutal, unforgiving universe of the 41st millennium, it's a stark symbol of the thin line between technological marvel and existential horror. If you thought the conversion beamer was the pinnacle of Imperial weapon horror, brace yourself. There's a class of weapons so devastating, they make erasing someone from existence look downright merciful. Ever wonder what happens when you tear a hole in reality itself? Welcome to the terrifying world of Vortex Weapons. Picture this, you're on a battlefield, and suddenly, the very fabric of space-time rips open before your eyes. A swirling, chaotic portal appears, connecting our universe to the insanity-inducing dimension known as the Warp. That's exactly what Vortex Weapons do, and believe me, it's every bit as terrifying as it sounds. When a Vortex weapon activates, it doesn't discriminate. Tanks, buildings, entire squads of Space Marines, it doesn't matter. Anything caught in the Vortex's area of effect is instantly sucked into a dimension of pure chaos. And here's the kicker, when the Vortex collapses, which it always does eventually, there's nothing left. No rubble, no ashes, not even a whisper of what used to be there. It's as if that chunk of reality never existed in the first place. But it gets worse. Sometimes things come back out of the Vortex. Witnesses have reported glimpsing twisted, mutated versions of their comrades emerging from closing rifts. These unfortunate souls have been irrevocably changed by their brief exposure to the raw energy of the warp, driven mad and warped into horrific new forms that defy description. Let's talk about some specific Vortex weapons, shall we? The Vortex Grenade is a handheld version of this technology. Imagine a grenade that doesn't just explode, but opens a miniature rift to hell itself. It's a weapon so dangerous that even Space Marines think twice before using it. Then there's the Vortex Missile, typically mounted on vehicles or used in siege warfare. When one of these hits its target, it's not just a building that disappears, it's an entire city block. The Deathstrike Missile Launcher, one of the Imperium's most feared siege weapons, can be loaded with Vortex warheads for maximum devastation. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect of Vortex weapons is their unpredictability. The warp is a realm of chaos and madness, and opening a portal to it is never without risk. There have been instances where these weapons have backfired, consuming their users or spiraling out of control to devour far more than their intended targets. It's a stark reminder that in the chaotic universe of the Imperium, even the most powerful weapons can turn against those who wield them. While we've explored weapons that tear reality apart, some prefer a more direct approach. What if the Imperium found a way to weaponize a star? This isn't science fiction, it's the terrifying reality of Volkite technology. These relics from the Dark Age of technology represent the pinnacle of human engineering, so advanced that even the mighty Space Marines rarely wield them. Let's appreciate just how rare these weapons are. In a galaxy where Space Marines use some of the most devastating firearms imaginable, Volkite weapons stand apart. They're nearly impossible to produce in the 41st millennium. The knowledge to create these marvels has been lost to time, making each Volkite weapon an irreplaceable treasure. But what makes these weapons so special? It's how they unleash destruction. Forget bullets, lasers, or plasma. Volkite weapons channel something far more primal, the raw destructive power of thermal energy. When a Volkite beam strikes its target, the effect is catastrophic. Picture an enemy soldier suddenly bursting into flames from within. Every cell in their body ignites simultaneously. It's a gruesome spectacle that would make even hardened veterans flinch. But the nightmare doesn't end there. The heat is so intense that it jumps from one unfortunate soul to another, creating a devastating chain reaction. Imagine a group of enemy soldiers reduced to a cascade of human infernos. It's a sight that would break the morale of even the most fanatical foes. Now you might be thinking, sure, that's impressive, but what about heavily armored targets? Well, that's where Volkite weapons truly shine. Their true power lies in overcoming even the toughest defenses. Ceramite armor, the same material that protects Space Marines, might as well be butter when faced with a Volkite beam. This makes them one of the few weapons that can reliably kill a Space Marine with a single shot, a feat that would make even orcs think twice before charging. It's important to note that while Volkite weapons are incredibly powerful, they're not without drawbacks. Their complex mechanisms and the sheer energy they channel make them prone to overheating. In battle, a warrior wielding a Volkite weapon must be as disciplined as they are brave, carefully managing their rate of fire to avoid turning their own weapon into a liability. Despite these challenges, the devastating potential of Volkite weapons makes them highly sought after. When they appear on the battlefield, they can turn the tide of entire campaigns. Enemy commanders know that even a single Volkite weapon can spell doom for their forces, forcing them to adapt their strategies or risk watching their troops go up in flames. Remember when we talked about Volkite weapons? We'll forget about them for a moment because we're about to explore something that makes even the most battle-hardened Space Marines shudder. Enter Phosphex weapons, the eternal fire that defies explanation. What if I told you there's a substance so nightmarish, so utterly destructive, that even the Imperium of Man, the same folks who routinely scorch entire planets, decided it crossed a line? That's Phosphex. It's a weapon that embodies pure, unrelenting horror. So what makes Phosphex so terrifying? For starters, it's a highly toxic, corrosive substance that ignites on contact with air. But this isn't your run-of-the-mill inferno. Once Phosphex starts burning, it never stops, ever. It burns underwater, in a vacuum, even in the cold void of space. It laughs in the face of conventional firefighting methods. But Phosphex isn't content to just sit there and burn. It actively seeks out new fuel sources, spreading like some kind of malevolent, fiery creature. Imagine watching as a tank, a building, or even a person simply dissolves. And not quickly either. Phosphex takes its time, slowly eating away at everything it touches. Picture this, a Space Marine caught in a Phosphex blast. At first, he thinks he's survived, but then the pain starts. It's not just burning, it's a deep cellular agony. He watches in horror as his armor melts, fusing with his skin. His very molecules are breaking apart. He prays for death, but Phosphex isn't that merciful. The true horror of Phosphex lies in what happens to those who survive its initial attack. Victims suffer a slow, agonizing death as their bodies literally dissolve from the inside out. It's a fate so terrible that even the most stoic veterans beg for a quick end rather than face Phosphex exposure. The devastation caused by Phosphex is so complete, so utterly irreversible that it can render entire planets uninhabitable for centuries. Imagine a world where the ground burns eternally, where the air itself is toxic and corrosive. That's the legacy of Phosphex. It's no surprise that the use of Phosphex weapons is highly regulated, even within the notoriously ruthless Imperium. The risk of contamination, the sheer destructive potential, and the moral implications of using such a weapon have led many to question whether the ends could ever justify such horrific means. But in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where there is only war, sometimes the most terrible weapons are deemed necessary. And so Phosphex remains a testament to the depths of human ingenuity and cruelty, waiting to be unleashed upon the enemies of mankind. Let's talk about a weapon so terrifying it makes death itself seem like a mercy. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where there's only war, we've seen some truly horrific creations. But the Necromantic Scythe? It's in a league of its own. This isn't your average power weapon. Wielded by the mysterious Colexus assassins, those soulless beings that strike terror into even the most powerful psychers, the Necromantic Scythe is a nightmare made manifest. At first glance, you might mistake it for an ordinary energy blade, but when it strikes, it doesn't just sever flesh and bone, it severs the connection between body and soul. Imagine this, your body drops, lifeless, but your soul, it's trapped within the scythe itself, fully conscious and aware. Picture a caged spirit in eternal torment, powerless to escape or affect the world around it. You're aware of everything happening, but unable to do anything about it. It's like being buried alive, but infinitely worse. But the true horror of the Necromantic Scythe lies in what happens next. The Colexus assassin can use these captured souls to animate the corpses of the fallen, creating their own personal army of the dead. Can you imagine the shock and despair of seeing your fallen comrades rise up, their bodies puppeteered by the very weapon that struck them down? This isn't some mindless zombie horde. The souls trapped in the scythe are fully aware, experiencing eternal torment as they're forced to fight their former allies. Every slash, every stab, every kill, they feel it all, powerless to stop themselves. In the annals of Imperial history, there are whispered tales of entire platoons wiped out by a single Colexus assassin wielding a necromantic scythe, not just killed, but turned against their own forces. It's a weapon that doesn't just defeat an enemy, it uses them to sow chaos and despair among their own ranks. The existence of such a weapon raises some disturbing questions about the nature of the soul in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. If a soul can be captured and manipulated like this, what does that mean for the afterlife? What happens to these tortured souls when the scythe is eventually destroyed? It's the kind of existential horror that keeps even the most battle-hardened veterans up at night. In a universe where reality can be torn apart by vortex grenades, the Necromantic Scythe stands out as a uniquely terrifying creation. It's so secret, so horrifying, that most believe it's nothing more than a myth. But for those unfortunate enough to face it on the battlefield, the nightmare is all too real. As we've explored the Imperium's mind-bending arsenal, it's clear that the line between technological marvel and abomination has blurred beyond recognition. These weapons erase, corrupt, and enslave, sacrificing not just lives, but reality and souls in humanity's fight for survival. Even within the Imperium, some view these weapons with fear and revulsion. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where there is only war, these exotic weapons reflect a species pushed to its absolute limits. They're a chilling reminder of humanity's desperation, wielding the power of gods and demons alike in its struggle to prevail. But as we peer into this universe of endless conflict, we must ask, how much of our humanity are we willing to sacrifice in the name of survival?